Okay.
So welcome to our Zoom Akashic Records, and we have an alarm going on that it's supposed to start.
Well, I'm excited to have Helen at the Soul Bliss Studios next weekend. We're going to be doing a class, but I wanted to introduce you to who she is and why we're so excited to have her. She is originally from Mexico. Sorry. We have some chihuahuas. They're getting excited.
Of course, having Akashic Record energy always is exciting for us. They love it, and it's very not always convenient or comfortable for them. Jamie, we cannot hear you.
I've got someone coming in the door, so there was just a couple noises. But I wanted to introduce Helen. She is a certified teacher for Akashic Records. She's also a body process facilitator, an access consciousness certified facilitator, and a Reiki Master, and much, much more. But she's originally from Moscow and moved to Chicago and got her degree. She's a doctor. She got her MD degree and you had open heart surgery and were basically retired from that, and now you're doing this full time. So thank you so much for joining us. And I know that I've been wanting to take some classes on Akashic Records, but can you just start off by telling us what the heck is Akashic Records?
Absolutely. It's interesting. Why am I not in the middle?
You are now.
Am I? Okay. Not on my computer, so I'm trying to see if I can do a little different. Nope.
You can't see me?
Hmm?
You can't see me?
I can see some people, but I cannot see everybody. So
no, you can see me because
Hi. Okay, so I guess I will start. Let's see. Let's move me in the middle, or I'll do this way. So you were asking about what's Akashic Record. I would start probably with a little background. When I was still practicing and was going through a rough time in my marriage, I was always curious about alternatives, so I've been doing a lot of spiritual work. So in '97, I went to Akashic Record consultant. Had no idea what it was, but I was told, you should check with that. So I went to Elena, and she kind of like said the prayer, and she wouldn't give me an advice. That was like, I wanted an advice. I desperately needed somebody to tell me, should I leave my husband? Should I not leave my husband? And with that, I found that no. Advice, there was just a choice. But what it was, there was a lot of information about my past lives, about what was blocking me, and there were healing prayers that after the consultation, I felt much more empowered and much more clear at what I was choosing. She kind of like was hinting that maybe I should take a class, not just use her as a consultant, that there is a power of accessing your own records. So in April, it's actually exactly 21 years. I have problem with math. From 97 to 2018, it's 21 years. I remember it was April 10 through 12 that I did do Akashic Record class. And during the class, I was excited. I had a lot of things that were opening up to me. A lot of things got cleared. At the end, there was one of the exercises, 6 people or 7 people were sitting different corners of the room. We're doing it a little different now, but at that time, it was almost like a test, if you're in the records or not. So you were supposed to ask a question of each one of them and get an answer. And at that time, I was thinking of selling my practice, kind of like had a contract on my desk, was supposed to sign it Friday. The workshop was Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, no, I'm not signing it. That's how it, and I'll talk about how choice creates your reality, how it shifts things. So I chose not to sign it on Friday. I was going to sign it Monday, but everything was set. I asked 6 people, am I going to sell my practice? Usually, yes and no questions are not the best to ask in the records, but each one said different things, but the same. One said, no, I don't see the signature. I don't see you signing the contract. I don't see that it's going to happen. You're not selling your practice. Or it's going to be a disaster even if you manage to sign the papers. And I'm like, okay, this is not working. This is not true. And I left my first class about an hour before it ended. Still got my certificate. Monday morning came along. I'm going with my contract signed and dated. And I'm told that the company was bought. So they're not buying my company anymore, my practice, my medical practice. And I'm like, uh-oh, maybe there was something with the records. Granted, there was a lot of things going on with that. Even that, I was advised that it's probably not in my best interest to sign the papers. I did sign the papers, ended up with nothing, and a lot of like other disasters that happened along the way. Company went bankrupt, and I ended up with paying the bank $10,000. Saying that, I went back. I started taking more classes, got certified. And what I found, first of all, Akashic Records is all the records of the soul journey. The soul is infinite, has been infinite time on Earth, different planets. So any possible past, present, and future that we had on any planet, on any universes in any dimension, it's written in the records. It's kind of an ethereal space. It's consciousness. Any thought, any feeling, any emotions getting written there. But it's much more than that. The records are just a record. The Akashic field is a field of possibilities. It's allowing anything we desire, fear, anything that we put out to the universe to go there and start creating. That's the field of possibilities. Anything that we choose goes in there as a possibility. There is a buffer zone between us, like the physical world where our bodies are, and the Akashic field, saying that it occupies the same space. If you go into quantum mechanics, there are infinite universes, infinite possibilities, infinite time, and there is no time. Time is construct. So when we work in Akashic Records, time does not exist. So past, present, and future is the same. That's why we can change our present by going in And by clearing old contracts, old things that we're still holding on, all the blocks, all limitation, we can shift the present and the future. I told the story in the beginning for a reason. Because our choices in the physical world create in the Akashic field a ripple effect, which shifts and changes and solidifies certain things. So by me making a choice of not signing the contract in the moment when I was asked to sign, created a solidity that there was few events that created that solidity. Me not signing in the morning the contract, the company being bought in the afternoon, created the impossibility of going into selling my practice now. And that solidity puts in a certain track. Think of our lives as the blueprint. We have infinite choices, infinite possibilities. Each choice creates. Each choice creates a different path. Let's say we met somebody. We shake their hands. We talk to them. That stopped us in that moment from doing something else. That solidified that path that we might become friends with that person. Or we might hate that person. They might betray us. We could have chosen to go away and maybe not meet that person. And that would have created a different path. So everything, all of those things are written in that space of universal records. Every thought, every emotion, or even the thought that we did not have, but possibly could have had, is still in there. By looking at the patterns, looking at what created the present moment, there are tools in Akashic Records to shift and change that. The major tool that we use in that moment is the, oops, sorry, I changed the view and it just shifted again. So the tools of prayers are vibrational frequency. Everything is a vibrational frequency. Think of our bodies, our being, our soul is energy. When we look under the microscope, we don't see that solid thing. We see cells. If we go in bigger magnification, it's even smaller units that make up the body. And the smallest unit is pretty much energy, vibrating a different frequency. That's why the words, thoughts, feelings, and emotions can affect our body, can affect our mind, can affect our lives. And our soul, our being, is not just in this dimension. It's everywhere, in all dimension, all space, all time. The way I've been taught, I went through 2 different schools before I opened my own school, School of Akashic, Akashic School of Creation. I used to be with Akashic Record Consultant International, which was one of few schools that actually taught how to access Akashic Records with total ease, basically using a vibrational frequency of a sacred prayer. Very simple, and they did a study at that time that people go from alpha state, which is awakened state, kind of like our active, normal, everyday, day-to-day, by reading the prayer a certain way, go into theta wave, which is a deep meditation. And that's what the work in Akashic Records are. It's a conscious meditation. You use a prayer to access that field of knowledge, field of knowing. And it's not outside of us. It's in our hearts. And we can access it in a different way. People go into Akashic Records through the meditation, in dreams, like when we sleep and we dream, and it's usually much more vivid dreams where you get the messages. That's when you access the Akashic field. People do, I forgot the technique that they use. They can consciously or cognitively remember the dreams, but also change the dreams and be active in the dreams. That's pretty much using Akashic Records through the dreams.
Astral projection, I think, is what it is.
It's different. No, astral projection is different.
Okay.
Astral projection is when the soul actually leaves the body and goes somewhere else.
Okay.
Which is usually, I don't advise that. It's people's choices, please, if you like it. But when the soul leaves the body kind of unattended. I prefer expansion than astral projection.
Got it. Okay.
When we expand, and that's a good question, because when we astral project, we actually take everything, our essence, to go there wherever we choose to. And it's fun to do. I've actually done it a couple of times, but then coming back to my body felt a little awkward. Doing the expansion, and we will play with that in a few moments, it feels more natural. Because that's what we are. We are much bigger than our body. Our soul is eternal, and our being is infinite. So we can be everywhere at the same time.
So how do we, sorry to interrupt, but so when we go into the Akashic Records, how do we change it? Is it something that, like you said, I understand there's choice and possibility, and let's say I know that, from what I've understood when we went into the Akashic Records, I was Queen Hatshepsut in a past life. How, by knowing that, what does that do for me now, and how can I use that to my benefit?
You know how karma works. So in the past life, we did something to someone, or somebody did it to us. And we hold on to that either grudge or that contract or hate, love, whatever it is. And it moves us in the same patterns. When we start working in the records, it's not just seeing what's wrong, it's fixing. Right. It's not even fixing it. It's changing and erasing it. We use the prayers by erasing the past. One of the ways we can erase the past is forgiveness. The more we hold on to what we cannot forgive, or especially if it's a beyond forgiveness, let's say murder, somebody murdered somebody we loved, the vengeance is so strong that it pushes us from lifetime to lifetime, seeking that person, trying to kill them, or maybe killing them in another lifetime. Then they hold that grudge,
right,
move from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, trying to kill us.
Right.
That's kind of extreme example, but there is so many of similar, or marriages, business contract, when somebody stole the business or ruined the business or did something, and we keep repeating the same pattern. And let's play with that.
Yeah.
Think of somebody Actually, let me answer the question. How do we perceive the difference between soul and the being? The being is being infinite. The soul is more concrete. The soul has memories. Soul has magnetic imprinting of those contracts, as we talked about. And that's what we're looking to clear. Because infinite being does not have any contracts. It's the eternal soul that does that. And a lot of us, like doing the access work, we cleared eternal souls. And it's actually multiple of them. It's funny how infinite being could create the infinite number of souls. We're so cute, maybe not so bright in that respect. So when I started clearing the eternal soul, I found that there are blank spots in the Akashic Records. It doesn't mean we cannot work in the field, even if we give up our eternal soul that doesn't have any contracts. But that's kind of more advanced work when you actually start creating your life based on your choice.
Nice.
And we talk about that in advanced class. In the beginning, we still deal with the soul contracts and things that stuck. But the more important in the beginning, we learn how to access the records, to access the Akashic field in general.
Is it, I know we talk about quantum physics too. Is it possible that it's even in your DNA, like in your physical body?
It is in it. It's actually, majority of the contracts are written on DNA and RNA.
Got it, okay.
On the protein level, like it's literally on a molecular level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what shifts. What they found that a lot of times by changing your contracts, changing a lot of those limitations, our DNA starts changing and a lot of diseases disappear. The financial thing starts improving just by releasing those contracts.
Well, you can even look different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I would like to play, and I'm going to put in the chat one of the prayers, which is a forgiveness prayer. I'm going to copy it, and we'll do it together. So I would ask you to think of somebody that you have issues with. And just think of them. And let's say the prayer together. And you can do it silently or aloud. Today we'll be doing it aloud. So just to feel the vibration of the prayer.
Do you want me to unmute everybody?
Not necessarily. They can do it in their room.
Right. Okay. Because I think it might be a little crazy.
Yeah, exactly. We have quite a few people here right now. And how does it get any better than that?
Right, right.
So, I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, heard, to anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have experienced that was done, been, seen, heard, to me, by me, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that from anything that I have done, been, seen, and heard, to me, by me, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. How do you feel? How does your body feel after saying that prayer? And anybody can unmute themselves and just say it.
Lighter.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it one more time, because the idea is the prayer has a vibrational frequency. Think of that person again. First of all, notice if the emotions or feelings are as strong as they were before. And now let's do it together. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, heard, to anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have experienced that was done, been, seen, heard to me by anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, and heard to me, by me, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality.
You can feel that.
Yeah.
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 One more time. And each time, a lot of times, it goes deeper because there are layers and levels to forgiveness. And I just want to mention something because it's actually allowing the universe to flow, the universe forgiveness to flow through us. Because as human beings, we have hard time forgiving. No matter how many times we are told that we have to forgive that person and forget it, it doesn't work that way. The forgiveness we're talking about is not about forgiving and then letting them hit ourselves or be a victim again. No, the forgiveness here is about letting go of that energy that's sticking us, that's holding us from moving on. It doesn't mean we allow the other person to hurt us again. In the contrary, the more we forgive, the more we can see what's in front of us, and we can choose accordingly. When we're not forgiving, we're being that victim, that small person that being the effect of everybody else. And afraid that if we are letting go of that grudge or that hate or that whatever we are not forgiving, that we would let other people do that again. But guess what? By holding on to that, it happens again. Only when we actually let go and forgive, not necessarily forget. I'm not talking about forgetting it. We're talking about taking the emotional and feelings out of the facts. And by doing that, a lot of times we can erase the events from actually ever being or happening. Because we are creators of our lives. And if everything happens simultaneously, by forgiving or by letting go of time, because we have a lot of prayers, like a lot of healing prayers on different things that we work throughout the 2-day class. And we also have points on the hand that are grace points that allow us to release it from the body.
Okay, Orna has a question she was wanting to ask. I unmuted you if you'd like to ask Helen a question.
Yes.
Orna? Go ahead.
Orna? Hello? Where is Orna?
I don't know. I unmuted her.
Maybe she can type the question in.
Okay, go ahead. I apologize.
That's okay. So we were talking about forgiveness. So let's do the forgiveness prayer one more time. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, heard, to anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously,
in any
time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have experienced that was done, been, seen, heard to me by anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, and heard to me, by me, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. So how are you guys feeling? And by the way, you can use that prayer anytime when you're upset, when you're in a situation where you don't even see hope of changing.
And you can insert, Donna Brown was asking if we can insert somebody's name in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the name, or not just necessarily the person. It can be a company, it can be an animal, a planet. It can be anything. And the beauty of that, you don't even need to know who you're forgiving. Because it might be that you feel anger for something and you have no idea who did that or what's done. You can just say the prayer, and a lot of time that starts shifting. When we're working in the records, a lot of times we see exactly what happened. But that might be just one episode of infinite number of episodes that you had with that particular person or that particular country. It can be a country. I had to deal a lot with Russia. Being born there and having multiple lifetimes, I did a lot of forgiveness, and that shifted a lot. Between working with access consciousness tools and Akashic Records, I was able to go and do a class there. And I thought I would have a lot of emotions, and I didn't. A lot of things got forgiven. Betgal, do you have a question? I saw your hand.
Who?
Betgal. Do you have a question?
No, I was just checking with Orna to see if...
Okay. Is she ready to ask the question?
Excuse me?
Is Orna ready to ask the question?
No, it was just a mistake.
Okay.
she raised her hand.
I was going to ask you a question too. Is like I've gotten my Akashic Records read, and then they say, "Oh, you're more resonating now in a different, like I'm in alignment with another timeline, or like whatever lessons I learned. You know, I was on one timeline, and then I went on a different timeline now. Does that make any sense, or
different schools use different, I guess, words, different vocabulary.
Right.
My guess, and it might be just my guess, by saying different timeline is what I'm talking about, the past.
Yeah.
Because as I said, a lot of times we go in a fixed path because of our choices before.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we make a different choice or clear that path, that we no longer have to go through that particular like one path, one road, then you shift and go. Based on our karma, it's pretty much a path. You can go, let's say you chose A. You have like multiple choices always.
Right.
Even with one path, you still have multiple choices. Even destination can be different. But saying that, there is a certain number of paths. It's not infinite anymore. So if you chose A, you might go only B, C, and D. And then if you chose B, you can no longer go C and D unless you go back and change something with the A.
I see.
And that's what we're doing, is changing that A part, the choices that we made before, by forgiving, by allowing actually forgiveness to go through us, by clearing energy of the past, clearing, releasing energy patterns, clearing entities. A lot of times throughout our lifetimes, we picked up entities, energy patterns. That's not us.
Mm.
It might be we promised somebody to take care of them. Guess what? They might attach themselves to you, maybe come back as your children or your parents, or they might actually have an entity without the body attached to you. And then you're taking care of them, or they take care of you. And that's even, it's not fun when somebody trying to take care of you and moving you in a certain direction.
Right.
And how often did we notice that we did something, we had no idea why, or we didn't want to do that, but then we chose that against our will, which was against our will by somebody else choosing it.
So when we go into the Akashic Records, we're able to see where we did that, where we made choices to take care of somebody, or to, you have this.
Might. Akashic Records are built on the questions. You ask the question. It's like going to Library of Congress. And then some people would come to me for consultation and they were like, tell me about me. And I'm like, really? What would you like to know? Right. Which book would you like me to open for you?
Right. Because you have thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Infinite number.
Yeah.
Because we have infinite numbers of souls. It's like first time when I got to the records, it was mind-boggling. Saying that, and they will not give you more than you can handle.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of times if you'll go in one time, I'm looking at my Egyptian background. I go in another time, I'm looking at my Russian background.
Exactly. And you ask, okay, so I'm going with that person through tough times. He doesn't like me. I like them, but they don't like me. I'd like to have a relationship, but then it's almost like an abuse relationship. And then you're looking and you're seeing 500 years ago, you might have raped them or tortured them through the Inquisition or burned them at the stake. And now they're paying you back by torturing you at work or in a relationship.
Right. Yeah.
Same with money. A lot of times, I've seen with some people, they were wealthy, maybe even as a duke or maybe even a king. And then they were beheaded or killed, or their family was held for ransom. So they made a promise never to have money again. So this lifetime, they're struggling with finances. They're not making as much as they supposed to. And every time, even when they make something, they lose it. And through clearing those contracts.
Did I lose you?
Huh? What?
Oh, we got you now. You got stuck for a second.
Okay. Am I back? So by clearing the contracts of I'm not never going to have money, so my family will be safe.
Mm.
Again, by using the forgiveness, by using here, I cannot stress forgiveness it more than I've been doing it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a key to
Mm.
clearing everything.
It does. It just feels like it does shift something. It melts it. It like it just
Right.
helps it to dissolve whatever that is. And I what I'm getting, it's like, especially when you're thinking of a particular person, it feels like I'm triggered. Wherever I'm triggered, I'm getting this would be a really great prayer to use anytime I'm triggered with any situation, whether it's a situation or a person or work, whatever it could be. This would be really great.
Exactly. Also during the class, we learn points on the hand, and I'll try to find a picture so you can see like at least one of the points. And I do like the emotional trigger release point, which is pretty much that's what it does.
Mm-hmm.
It allows to clear all the emotions that got stuck in our body.
Ah.
And you can use that. It's right here. I'll try to kind of like do that. See if you can see it.
Oh, I see it. Yes, we do. We can see it.
And it's
Is it on the left or the
here.
right? Is it on both hands or just one?
It's on both hands. It's the first, like usually the dominant one is the one that you kind of hold first, the one that you're drawn to. It's on the back of the hand. It's right between the thumb and the index finger.
I see. Like right here?
Yep. There is like a hole there, almost like an indentation.
Yeah.
And just hold it there and see if it gets warmer, because usually it starts either tingling, pulsating. And if any of you took Access, and I know a lot of you did, it's just like bars. It gets activated when you lightly touch it.
You don't have to push really hard, just lightly touch.
No, you don't squeeze it. It's not a pimple.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. No, it's just a light touch.
Okay, just a light touch. Okay.
And again, think of somebody that you're emotionally challenged, let's say. And just see, just by holding that, see if it changes. I'll do it maybe for a minute. And you don't have to hold it long. Usually it's a minute, couple of minutes, and it starts releasing it. How does it feel now? Think of that person again. Is there any changes?
Yeah, my mind goes blank.
Yeah, exactly. Because it actually starts releasing the emotions.
Yeah.
What it does, it goes to the trigger, what triggers the emotions, and it just releases it.
Nice. So when someone's upset, can you say, okay, just touch this right here?
Yeah, exactly. And what's fun, it's easy because when you're sitting, you're upset, and you're like, touch it. And see if you just relax a little bit more. So you can see what's in front of you.
Well, it makes sense, totally. Especially, I think people do it, when you're stressed out, people.
Right. A lot of times people would just like.
We do this
like
automatically.
And there are points on the front, like on the palms. There is about 13 points here, which was with my old school. I kind of don't use them just because they're copyrighted and I just don't want to deal with legality.
Right.
The points that I use is the one that kind of were given to me by the Akashic Master.
Okay. Wow, that's great.
And the prayers too. The prayers been downloaded.
Right. So did you, this whole class, the classes, were they downloaded to you also? Were you able to access the Akashic Records, and you basically you created these classes through what you received?
Exactly.
Wow.
And they were pushing me to open my school ever from I remember.
So when you say they, what did you?
It's hard to
Like, what
explain.
does that
And
look
when you're in the records, you will see what I'm talking about.
like? Okay.
It's not people, it's not entities, it's not
Right.
angels. They are way beyond that.
Yeah.
It's a matrix of consciousness.
Okay.
It's just from my old school, I'm so used to calling them masters, teachers, and loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
But they're much more than that.
Yeah.
They don't have names. It's, though sometimes angels do pop up in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And certain people, like in certain consultations, their loved ones might pop in.
Okay.
I tend not to ask them to come in because you don't want to kind of like interfere with their affairs. But if they show up, thank you. And that's the gratitude we feel, and that's about it. The Akashic field is not outside of us. It's inside. It's in the heart.
Mm.
When we talk about psychic awareness, a lot of people talk about third eye.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mental awareness. And that's a psychic level, which I'm talking about, the buffer zone between Akashic field and us and the physical world. And in the psychic realm, as I call it, it's where the angels, the demons, the lost beings, the souls, it already has a duality of our physical world.
Mm-hmm.
It already has a time element and solidity. A lot of psychics work in the psychic realm. That's why I call it psychic.
Right.
When we start creating an Akashic field, when we change something, it first goes into psychic realm.
Mm.
And what psychics see is that one possibility of the future.
Mm.
And they will tell you, oh, your future is this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you change something else, a fraction of a second later, or you think of something else, it's already changed and shifted.
Yeah.
The heart awareness, the Akashic field, is much more expansive. You can see the infinite possibility of present, past, and future. It's infinite records, infinite everything that we've done, been seen, and heard, but it's even beyond that. It's what's possible and what's impossible we can create.
Wow.
I've created paintings through the Akashic Records. I've created classes through the Akashic Records. You can write books. I know quite a few people who wrote books through Akashic Records by using that energy of creation, because this is the field of creation.
Mm.
And records is only a small part of it.
Okay.
The first class is accessing your records, but the second one, the advanced, we deal more about the creation of your life.
Nice.
The possibilities of how to shift and change, how to use it in the creativity processes like poetry, writing, the painting. It's so much more that we can't explain it in 1 hour. It's about experiencing it.
Right.
And we're going to experience it right now for a second, because as I said, it's not just the prayer is fast.
Mm-hmm.
It gets you instantly there. But we can go through meditation and get at least a taste of it a little bit. Are you ready on the journey?
Sure.
I can see some iPhones. If you're driving, please don't do that. Don't close your eyes. You might still do the exercise, but just be aware of your surroundings. If you're not driving, And if you're home, you might sit comfortably, lay down, any place where you feel more comfortable. And just allow yourself first to relax. You might use the trigger point, the emotional trigger point, just to relax you a little bit. Open your crown and allow the light of the universe to go through your body, through your heart, through your feet, and exit into the ground. And now pull the energy from earth through your feet, through your body, through your heart, and let it out through the crown. Allow yourself to go into your heart space, and you will be surprised how big that space is. It can accommodate you. See the two energies swirling, mixing, and expanding that space. See that space, and for each person it can be unique. It can look like a garden, it can look like a beach, it can look like a forest. Anywhere that you feel comfortable, just allow yourself to be there. Notice the smells, sounds, if there are birds there, if there are leaves that making some sound, if there is a wind or a breeze. Allow maybe music, colors. Notice the colors. Notice the smells. Are there any flowers there? See if there is any place you can sit or lay down comfortably in that space. And see if there is anybody or anything else in that space with you. Is there a guide that's coming? It can be somebody you know or somebody you don't know. Can be an animal. Can be just energy that is there to greet you. And you can ask them anything you desire. You can ask any question. You can also ask them if they have any message for you. See if there is any gift for you, any color. If there is a gift, ask them what it represents. Just allow yourself to say thank you in any way you choose to, and say goodbye. And when you're ready, bring your attention back to the room where you're in. And if you choose to, you can share your experience. How was that space?
It was amazing.
I can see people smiling. It was awful, wasn't it?
We do have a question. Someone was asking, how do you know that it's from the Akashic record? It's not your intuition, your imagination.
Saying that a lot of times our intuition and imagination is from the records because it's our knowing that we are contacting, not something else. And during the class, we are learning how to distinguish between our ego, between our the messages from other beings. And usually the messages from the records are very light. You just know it's true. And in the beginning, I did ask them to separate. You can ask them to tell you when it's from the records or not. And the funniest thing, they will. So I asked them for 2 words. If it's and the words that I might not use normally. And I asked them, if it's coming from you, what words should I hear? And it's not actually here, it's more like your thoughts. And if it's from me or my ego, then tell me what word will be there. And they did. The word for the Akashic records was candle. And the word for ego was stubborn.
Nice.
Surprise!
Right.
For one person I know, she asked also to separate her ego from the Akashic records. So she actually saw the messages written in the air. You know how the banners with the planes, when the plane goes over the sky and there are banners like messages in there? That's what she would see, the messages from the records.
Do they sometimes I've heard too that it'll rhyme, like it's very playful and happy, but
For some people they might rhyme. For another person it was images from the fairy tales. It's whatever that person can receive.
I see.
And the idea is not to judge it. And as I said, in a class we learn how to distinguish. It's not just like you go in and here's the records and you deal with it.
Later.
That's why it's 2 days to get you working in the records. Otherwise, I would have given you the prayer and go and deal with it because it's easy to get in and out.
Right.
The class is more about how to use the prayer, how to distinguish between what's in the records, what's not, what's actually your knowing or not. Also, how to use the tools, how to use the prayers, which prayers to use in which moment. And usually the 2 days not enough.
Right. Well, that's why I'm excited that you're going to be doing the advanced. So I just wanted everyone to know too, is that it's not just going to be a live class that we will be live streaming. It won't be a recorded class because of, Helen, why is it won't be recorded?
A lot of times I found that recording just doesn't happen.
Right.
It's just white noise. A lot of times the internet might not work if I record it. Also, it's about interaction.
Yeah.
It has, like, people have to be there all the kind of like the whole class. They cannot just pop in and out. Live stream usually means you're in and out and then you're watching the recording. This is more about being in the live class while it's streaming, so you're actually present. And the space gets created, which is bigger than, you're pretty much included in the room.
Right.
When the class is going. I remember doing the class and one of the students was in Hong Kong. and it was live streamed through the Skype. We didn't have Zoom at that time, so the platform was horrible. I was co-teaching that class. I was responsible of holding at that time. It was, I'm talking about 15 years ago, maybe a little bit less, maybe 10 years ago. So at that time, we had no idea about expansion. We did expand, but it was different. And I had to hold the actual vortex to the Hong Kong, going through the hurricane at the same time, because there was a hurricane and almost like a tsunami hurricane.
Wow.
At that time. So it actually will be people who are on live stream, they will be in the class.
Awesome.
This introduction is recorded because it's a little different. So for people to kind of know what the Akashic Records are, and it will be posted on the YouTube and in the event. So people can watch it again and do those exercises again.
Yeah.
And I will post the forgiveness prayer in the event as well.
Nice.
So you can use it.
Thank you so much. Well, I am totally excited to have you come and be at the Soul Bliss studio next weekend. It's going to be next Saturday and Sunday. And register. I think you have a place where the people can register.
Yeah, it's on my website, creatingabundancewithease.com. And when you go to Facebook event, there is a link where you can register.
Okay.
And there is actually special pricing. If you register before, I think it's before the 25th, there is a discounted price of $350.
Right. So it's normally $400 for the class, and then it'll be $350 until then. And then you're planning on doing the advanced class. I think we were planning on doing it
in June, I think.
In June, and that will be the whole nother level, like you said,
right.
The creation. And then at that point too, are we able to help other people access their Akashic records, or
right after the first one, you would be able to open your records, and even others. We would not practice that at the level 1. More practice is in advanced.
Right.
But it's the same prayer that's used to open your records, so is others.
Okay.
And I do explain how to do that. Some people feel comfortable and do that right after the first class. Some people like to wait up to the second.
Right.
There is also a level of certification where people can get certified as a consultant, where they have to take both classes and do 72 consultations. And actually, after the 72, they will have to read to teachers. And awesome. I usually arrange that for them. They teach. They do the consultation for me and a couple of other teachers in the Akashic field.
Nice. How exciting. Well, I'm so excited because this has been huge. This has been something that's been on my to-do list for the last couple of years. So
and I'm actually coming to Israel to do Akashic Records class in September. Right, Betka?
Right.
Yes, very, very true. True story.
True story.
And we're going to meet in September. Just in Israel, we start the year in September. So what a great way to start the year. Listing all the karmas and also doing the forgiveness. It's a great time.
Beautiful. I'm so glad that we're doing this. It's such an amazing experience, and I feel like we're not just shifting our karma, but by doing what we're doing, we're shifting the planet. And I'm just so grateful to have everyone that was a part of this call, and anybody who listens to it later in the now moments. By doing those prayers, you are literally a part of the change. And so thank you.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful because you're not just changing you, you're changing the world.
Yes.
Because this is a universal forgiveness. So by breaking those ties, those contracts, and those emotions and feelings that stuck. You're actually releasing yourself, you're releasing those people, and you're also releasing Earth. And by the way, in level 1, we will be working with forgiveness for the Earth as well.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Well, thank you so much for.
Thank you so much.
What a contribution.
Yes.
And I will see you soon.